Chapter 12, Home is Where the Rock Is, the Origin Story. Gosh, we're almost all the way through our lessons. Have you gotten your book yet? Link in the bio. By the way, you don't need the book. You can just follow along with these lessons, and then we do have a worksheet that comes with the book that is downloadable and printable, but you can make your own worksheet as well. So a really important tool in identification is knowing the approximate location of where the rock comes from. This is for a variety of reasons. First off, it helps to know what traditionally comes from the area, and if you are able to read geologic maps or have a friend who can, to know the local geology really helps. It's very rare, unless you have some river systems or some other methods of transport, to have a type of rock in an area where it didn't form, or not near an area where it formed, unless it's a very, very old area. And in the Pacific Northwest, we're not that old. Now, there are old places of the world where mountains have come and gone and come and gone and come and gone, and now it's just all flat, like Australia. But that's also important to know, because only certain kinds of opal come from Australia. So once again, trying to find out the approximate location of where your specimen came from is really important. So with that information, you'll be able to know what kind of rocks in general come from that area. Is it a sedimentary basin? Does it have a lot of glacial rocks? You'll be able to get a feel for that area. Does it have a lot of metamorphic rocks, a lot of volcanic rocks? What are the common rocks around there? And your local rock club can really help you, as well as local forums. It also helps to look to see what the mining history of the area and the collection history of the area are. Once again, books, forums, clubs, these are all very helpful. There's some really great websites, including mindat.org, which I'm not associated with. I just think it's a really good resource. There are other really great resources. Once again, get out your Google Foo and get online and look up what's been rock hounded in your area. Look on forums, ask, join clubs, and reach out to me if you can't find any of these local resources. I'll see what I can find for you. And make sure to document anything you know about the location found, or ideas about locations where it would be found. Okay, but don't get too comfortable, all right? Because just because you're in a quartz-rich region doesn't mean you're not going to stumble upon an occasional sapphire or another anomaly. There are going to be clues, and there are going to be minerals that co-occur, and there'll be usually an indicator mineral. But you also never know what somebody might drop out of their pocket. Somebody found on the beach today what looked like a snakeskin agate. Now, I don't know of any snakeskin agates that come from around here. Maybe, but there are a whole lot more in the Great Basin, so it's probably more likely that somebody relocated the rock. You also have to realize we've just barely scratched the Earth's surface, let alone the oceans and all of that. Geology is a very new science, so you're just going to do your best to document and get as much information about the area as possible. And if you can't, then document what rock shop you got it from. Maybe if it has a tag, look at how old the tag is. Look at the information on the tag. Do everything you can to try to research this stuff. Even heaven forbid, going to a library, oh boy, or a rock museum, they might be able to help you. But there are resources out there, and this is where you're really putting on your Sherlock Holmes cap, you know what I mean? But with all your previous observations, it'll allow you to have better conversations with the people that you're trying to get information from. So just because you got a rock also from a rock shop doesn't mean that the identification is right. First of all, just a heads up, and that you shouldn't also document what they say and then double check. Trust but verify. And some rock shops are way better than others. Some go with what their wholesaler tells them the rock is. There's a stone called kiwi jasper. It's actually kind of granite. I did that by a little Googling and knowing for myself what some light amazonite, some light smoky quartz, what to look for in order to find out that they call this granite a kiwi jasper. So when shopping for rocks, always get the name of it. Get as much information as you can. If you can find a chatty rock shop owner like I am and they found it, get them to blather, write down everything you can about it, because the more information you have about the rock, the more value that information is. And sometimes it's the location of the rock or the time that the rock was found that brings the most value to the rock. Also, if you document your specimens, your heirs are going to like you a whole lot more. I deal with a lot of estates and a lot of people who are like, I don't know what any of this is, please help. And so do people a favor and label your collection to the best of your ability. If it's, especially the stuff that's worth anything. And we don't know if it's worth anything unless you document it. You can also post pictures of your finds on forums to help, but having the information from your sheet will really help there too. And a lot of the times there'll be characteristic things about the stone that are able to allow people like me and other rock experts to go, oh, that has a green rind. That's most likely from Brazil. Now, rock shops are amazing to rock hound in. I can't tell you how many rocks I just end up having, and I don't have time to label them, or the labels don't stick. So it's very possible that you can find a cool mystery rock in a rock shop, especially when the owners are just rock lovers and not super into science. Being really good at identifying rocks and minerals, I have scored some of the coolest, rarest specimens because the people who had them didn't know what they had. So I love to hunt not only outdoors for rocks, but in old dusty rock shops where they're just piling in what they have bought from estates, things of that nature. I like to use my expertise to find the good stuff, to sniff it out. I have more than once walked into more than one rock shop and been able to identify something that was very, very rare that you don't find anymore and get it for rock bottom because they don't know what they have. And so if you're wondering, why am I spending all this time learning how to identify rocks? Well, you want to know what they are for a variety of reasons, and one of them is for collection value, for tumbling, for all different kinds of reasons. But one of them is value. So some of you will be jewelers and other people who sell rocks and want to get better at identifying rocks. And this is where this all comes in, is some rocks, as you know, are much more valuable than others, and they look very much the same, but there's little subtleties. And so this is where learning all of this is so valuable, is being able to tell which rocks are the valuable ones and which ones are the not so valuable ones. And that's really it. I kind of went overboard a little bit because talking about where you found it is a pretty small subject, but we're getting to the end of our book and our lessons, and so it's really important that you note everything you can and ask all the questions that you can. On to the next chapter.